Welcome everyone to our People First University trainings series. We are talking today about building a strong self-advocacy group. I'm Kraig Walker with People First of Ohio and the Arc of Ohio. Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael Richards from People First of Ohio. I'm the chapter coordinator. I am I'm from Highland County, and I have my disability is I have cerebral palsy, and I also serve on the Highland County Board of DD. I am the vice president of that board.
That's awesome. So today our topic is building a strong self-advocacy group. I know everybody um, has talked about, hey, what are some ideas that we can incorporate into our group, and hopefully this helps. And we've created a little PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and share that screen. Can everybody see? Michael, can you see it?
I can see it, yes.
Okay. So building a strong self-advocacy group. Michael and I worked on this together, and we're thinking about advocacy groups that we have visited, what we thought makes a strong self-advocacy group. There are lots of resources out there. If you Google how to build a strong self-advocacy group, you'll get a wide variety of answers, because most of what is considered self-advocacy groups or advocacy groups seem to be organizations that rally around a certain topic. So it could be cancer research. It could be around a local project. But of course, People First of Ohio is a group that is called an advocacy group made up of self-advocates. And throughout the state of Ohio, we have several self-advocacy groups that call themselves People First. So what we wanted to talk about first is, what is self-advocacy? And we're not going to stay a lot on this question, but we kind of wanted to just cover a little bit about what we think it is. And then you may think of some things that it isn't as well. So the first thing is letting others know what you want or need. So, Michael, how do you do that? How do you let other people know what you want or what you need?
Well, I advocate for myself. I let my SSA know what I need and what I want.
Okay. So you understand your needs. That's one of
Right.
our bullet points there. You know what supports are available because you mentioned an SSA. I
Hmm.
figured you would say, this is how I advocate to my wife, because that's some self-advocacy skills there.
Yeah, I do advocate. My wife helps me out a lot. Yes.
Sometimes you advocate for her as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the third part of that, of letting others know what you need, is communicating those needs. Um, we can communicate those to people around us that care about us, like a spouse or a significant other or somebody that is a close friend. We can communicate those, like in Ohio, to our county board. Um, we can communicate those needs to our community. We've had different groups that communicated a need where an individual said, hey, there's no sidewalks in front of my house. And they've communicated that need to their local community to do something about it. So it could be a wide variety of needs. But a lot of times with self-advocacy, we start at that basic level. Um, let's say I have a need to get to the doctor. I need transportation. I need reliable transportation. I don't want just somebody to come pick me up with a horse outside, because I may not be able to get on the horse, right? So what do I need? Maybe I use a wheelchair and I need a specialized van. We're going to have to tell what those needs are. How do we get there? What do we want to do? So self-advocacy, the more you do it, the better and easier it is. Of course, Michael just mentioned that he and I have been working together for 21 years. How easy do you think it is putting together a video like this, Michael?
Um, it's not it's difficult a little bit because we kind of brainstorm a little bit. You was actually sitting there like jotting notes down yesterday, and he's like, "Tell me, whoa, slow down, man." So
He still gets nervous after 21 years. He
21
still gets
years and
nervous.
speaking in front of a group, I'm still get mic shy. I can't believe it.
But it is true, the more you do it, the better and easier it is. So practice telling why your group is important. If somebody says, why would I want to join your group? Why would I want to join your self-advocacy group? Why is that
Well,
important? And we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But I have down here a couple things. More self-advocates equals more ideas. It may be, when we're sharing our needs and our wants in a group setting, somebody else is like, yeah, I never thought about that, but that would make it easier for me to get out in my community. That would be nice for all Ohioans. So the more self-advocates you have, the more ideas. The more self-advocates, the stronger your voice is. So gathering with other people that have the same needs, instead of going to your commissioners and saying, hey, there's something that one person in our county could benefit from. Now we can say, hey, there's 40 of us that got together and we all agree this would make it so much easier for us to shop in our community, to be a part of our community, and to live here. So the more people that you have together, the stronger your voice is. Same thing with when we go to the State House and testify. When John Hanna testified this very day at the State House for the Ohio budget, he didn't talk about just himself. He talked about everybody in the state of Ohio with a developmental disability and how big our organization is. One of the representatives that was on the panel spoke up and she said, hey, I was invited to a People First group in my county and I visited and I know what these needs are because they were very, very vocal in telling me. So a state representative that is on the panel that gets to decide whether there's budget changes or not had been to a People First meeting. And I thought that was pretty strong. I thought that was amazing. She knows how large our organization is and how many voters that are there. So she was talking about being a part of that People First movement. So, Michael, when we talked about self-advocacy groups, just look at your self-advocacy group right now. Michael mentioned who are the strong leaders. So, what were you meaning by that? What do you consider a strong leader, Michael?
a strong leader, that somebody that gets out in their community. You might volunteer at your local church, maybe at a food pantry, or you know, I just feel like a strong leader, you should be out in your community, speaking up, just telling other organizations about your group and what you're doing.
Great. The next question we had is who is comfortable speaking up? Not everybody is comfortable speaking up. Um, and you may have some very, very vocal people in your group that really like to speak up. And people speak up in many different ways. Sometimes it's with sign language, sometimes it's with a communication device, sometimes it's with their voice, but it's all about speaking up and telling what the needs are. And there may be some very shy people that have really, really good stories. So we just visited a chapter, and a bunch of wonderful advocates there. And some of them were a little more quiet than others, but I noticed that there was a couple quiet people that had a very good story and very good advocacy skills. And we made sure that everybody listened as they spoke. And it got easier for that person as they spoke. So, one of the things we talked about is to build a strong self advocacy group, help people find their voice, help them build those skills. So, taking turns speaking to the group can be when you start your meeting, and the meetings don't have to be fancy. A strong self advocacy group is not necessarily one that knows Robert's rules of order and how to run a meeting well. We don't have to be fancy about it, but maybe as we're taking attendance, everybody speaks up and says one good thing that they advocated for, or somebody that they met that is a leader in their community. One of the things that we also talked about is members' presentations. And this is a good way to take turns speaking up to the group. One self-advocacy group that we went to, people take turns doing their one-pager from Charting the Life course, and they tell about themselves, who I am, what I need, and they use that one-page description of themselves that they did with Charting the Life course materials, and they share that with the whole group. Or what things matter to me, why do I need support with things, and how do I get that support? So coming up with one person each month that can share their ISP and what's important to them, or just a one page, that helps us learn to speak up. And then the other is elevator speeches, which are the small, real short about me speeches. Michael, you and I have taught on elevator speeches before. What things do you think are important for people to put in there?
Well, when they do their elevator speech, I think it's important just to tell a little bit about themselves and what they enjoy in life and what they want to accomplish.
And elevator speeches are designed to be timed for about the time that you would spend on an elevator riding with somebody and introducing yourself.
Mhm.
So, what do you want people to know about you? What is the most important thing to you? So you could, if I was on an elevator, hi, I'm Kraig Walker. What do people usually want to know? What company are you with? So I'd say I'm with People First of Ohio, and we advocate for everyone with a developmental disability, mostly in the state of Ohio. We do some things at the state level, we do some things at the federal level, but it's most importantly about people living in their community and being equal. So that's probably it. I'm off on the next floor, and that's what people have learned about me. Um, Not always, you change it in different situations, but not always about your puppy and your best friend. But what are your needs? What are you passionate about?
First impressions is everything.
They are. They are. So you mentioned first impressions. We're getting close to DD Awareness and Advocacy Day. And a lot of people are going to go to the State House. There's lots of legislation events that you may be going to. So, what I know, Michael, that you've talked about, how do you dress when you go to the State House or when you meet politicians? What does that matter to you, Michael?
Yes, it does, because I have seen where people will go to the state house and they'll get their shirts and they'll throw them over their real nice uniforms, and they go into their representatives to talk to them. I am there and Craig is there. That what we are there for is to be professional. You want to present yourself well, because when you go in and talk to your legislators or your representatives, you want to be in that professional setting. You do not want to go in with a a shirt over top of your tie. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice here.
Yeah, Michael's got some vocal strains today because he's been battling a cold for a while. But yeah, that was one thing that we had talked about. When you put a t-shirt over a nice dress, I know we give away t-shirts at these events, but maybe it's not time yet. Maybe we keep that t-shirt for later on when we're in our community. But dress the part, dress nice, dress in the best that you've got. Um, First impressions do matter. Absolutely. So in your self-advocacy group, you've got to understand what are the issues. How are we going to build a strong self-advocacy group if we don't know what we're advocating for? So we need to go around and say, what do we need to address? How do we respond to the issues? What are those big issues? Right now, it's everybody is talking about Medicaid cuts and what that's going to look like. Um, what are the local issues? What are the state issues? What are the federal issues? And we put out on our Facebook group and a lot of times in our emails, we put out some issues that really need to be discussed. We need to know how the people first groups feel about those things. So talk about them. It may be something that, you disagree with. Tell us why you disagree, or it's something you agree with, and tell us what we should do and how we can all join together on those issues. So some of the topics that come up, we need to make sure that we stay on topic. If we're talking about Medicaid cuts, that's not the time to talk about what snacks we want at the next meeting. If you're like me, snacks are important, very important, but there's a time and a place for it, right? Dress the part. That's what we were just discussing, inviting people in. You want to look nice, you want to be prepared. We had a group that invited legislators to come in for an entire day, and it was local politicians, commissioners, the prosecuting attorney, um, different people within their county. And they all got dressed up and they were prepared. They had topics that they wanted to discuss with everyone. And that could be even inviting the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to come in. Let's talk about the trails. Are they accessible? Can we go hiking? Can someone who uses a wheelchair get through there? So it just depends on what your topics are. You want to be very prepared and know what you're doing. There's where your advisors come in too. So we've talked about a little bit about what self-advocacy is and how to strengthen your groups. And let's talk about, just for a brief moment, what it is not. And Michael said it's not one person deciding everything. Do you feel good enough to tell what you meant by that?
I, when you have a group, you don't want one person deciding everything on what you're going to do. It needs to be a group effort. You have an advisor there. Your advisor is only there to advise you, not to run your meeting. The self-applicant group is ran with people with disabilities.
Okay. So
And
we
it's
also said it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's not about a pizza party. When you have these meetings, it's not about getting together and having a social group. That's fine to have that, but when you have these meetings, you want to work on things that are important to you and in your community, like Craig said, or it could be state or federal level. So
Yeah. It's not about the activity. And you may have activities planned. It may be hey, we all go out and we have pizza, or we go bowling, but that's not advocacy in itself. Advocacy is what you do, like the
It,
topics that you talk about.
it
So you
becomes
want
a
to make
more of
sure.
it
Yeah,
becomes a more of a sociable group when you start knowing that.
right.
Sorry, Craig.
No, that's no problem. It's not the advisors group. So don't
Right.
expect your advisor to make all the plans for your group. A lot of times that always gets thrown back on to the advisors, and then they call me and they're like, what should we do? You need to be giving ideas to the advisor. This is the speaker that we would like to have. This is the thing that we would like to learn. And it's not a gripe session. I put that in nicer terms than what most people call it. But it's not just a gripe session. You need to be looking at that next part. A self-advocacy group it's teamwork. It's working on solutions. So when we go places and we hear people griping, we say, well, what's the solution? How can you be a part of that solution? So work as a team to work on those solutions. If you've got an idea for a law that needs to be made, you're going to probably be on that committee to figure out what that law needs to look like. And Michael mentioned it before. It's about getting out into the community. That could involve volunteering, being a part of multiple groups, and it's speaking to politicians and community groups. You need to get to know, to be a strong self-advocacy group, you need to especially get to know your local politicians, the people that you see in your community that are running for office. Get to know them, get to know your legislators, your state reps, and your state senators. Get to know your federal legislators. One of the easiest ways is to speak to community groups, and you can do this as a team. Your self-advocacy group can go out as a team and help to fill a slot. Almost every community has a Rotary International group. And these Rotarians are all made up of business people who get together. They meet once a week at least. They have breakfast or lunch together, and they have a short presentation. Present to them about your self-advocacy group and what you do in the community, how you give back, and what supports you need. Every Rotary group needs speakers. They meet so often, 52 times a year usually, that they run out of ideas. This is a perfect way for you to reach out to them and say, hey, we've got an idea and we can come in and we can present on it. So that makes a good, strong self-advocacy group. So we've kind of touched on this before, but why is it important to be a part of a group? Your voices are louder together, and we are stronger together. It's not as intimidating or make you afraid to get up in front of people if you've got your friends standing next to you and they help. And a lot of times we get questions about what could our group do? What could we do to make it better? Well, number one, ask yourselves, are your meetings interesting? Or are they boring as all get out? I sit in meetings all the time, and most of them I would say are boring. And not just, local groups, but everywhere I go, even a lot of Zoom meetings are boring. So what would make it interesting? Do you have interesting speakers? Are you having it in an interesting place? Do you think your members would want to come back? And one of the best ones is everyone's voice respected. We are not all the same and we don't all have the same needs. Make sure that you respect everyone's voice and their opinion. And then questions for potential members. They may say, why do I want to be a part of a group? Well, do you have Medicaid? Do you need Medicaid? Do you need services? Do you need supports? And have you shared how important that is? If you've never shared that, learning those skills in a self-advocacy group is a good place to be, to practice those skills and then to implement them or to put them into practice. Ask them, do you want to direct your own life? Do you want to be treated with respect and seen as an equal in your community? Those are things that you may want to ask people. Together, we'll learn these skills and we will advocate together. So I put the Medicaid thing on there because that is a huge issue right now. And the only way it's going to change and stop all the cuts is you telling your personal story.
And I might add with that real quick, Craig.
Sure.
It's not, I can't stress this enough. It can't be Mr. Kraig Walker up there or a professional person up there talking about, about Medicaid. They want to hear from you. You're the ones that receive the services. You're the ones that are going to make the most impact on that.
Exactly. Exactly. So wrapping it up, getting stronger, building a strong self-advocacy group, get involved. Join the People First trainings and any of the events that we have. Visit our website. Know a little bit about the past and where we're going. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll try to get as much information out there as possible for you to advocate. And some of the things that I've shared here recently, you just go on it and you click it, and you click on the link and it sends you right to your congressman's email address, and you type in your story and you click send, and they know exactly what's on your mind. It's easy. We're going to be putting out a lot of call to actions, which are ways that you reach out to the legislators. So try to stay up on that news with your group and share that with all of your friends and those who are on the group. Other ways to grow. I know I've talked about this a lot, but SARTAC, the Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center, they have wonderful trainings every week. Get on there and check those trainings out. You can use those in your self-advocacy group. You can use these videos in your self-advocacy group, like, hey, what can we do to make it stronger? Those people, several of you have joined Project Stir and attend the OSDA events, and those things get your self-advocacy mind going and your self-determination mind going and saying, oh, we can tackle that. Being a part of a leadership series like We Thrive Together. They have a training now. It's Leadership 101. It is absolutely free, and you can join in there at their website. And then attending conferences like Synergy. You get to meet 1,000 other people who also have the same ideas and same wants and needs that you do. So Synergy is coming up in October, and we invite people to sit in on the sessions and learn more about what the needs are and how to take care of those needs together.